Once upon a time, there lived a king named Yaya. Strange name, is it? It was given by his followers. Whenever the king calls his ministers, "Ministers, come here. I want to discuss an important thing with you all." And the ministers would come and say, "Yaya." And then only they would ask what it is. So one day the king said, "I want to go to my countryside palace to take rest." And everybody said, "Yeah." And so the king went to his countryside palace. He had his enough hearty meal and went to bed. It was a nice, cozy bed. He just went to his bed and he covered himself and he was about to sleep. Just then, he heard a noise. Oh no, what is that? He twisted and he tossed and he covered his ears. Nothing worked. He did not sleep even a wink that night. The next morning, he gathered everybody in the palace to a great big room and he asked, "What was the noise that I heard last night and I couldn't sleep even a wink? Did you all hear that too?" And everybody said, Yeah. Now that settles the matter. What is that? Those are frogs, Your Majesty, said a man. Well, cut off their heads. Yes, only that would solve the problem. Out of everybody, there was a girl. She just slowly put her hands up and said, "Your Majesty, with due respect, I would like to say something." What is that? Everything is connected. What do you mean? I don't have time for any philosophical discussion. Saying so, the king went away. By then, there was a frog. A frog who was sitting by the windowsill of the great big hall where the king was discussing and ordering to kill the frogs. The frog heard the conversation. The frog heard the order. And soon he hopped and jumped, went to his pond, and he told all the other frogs and asked them to move away. Soon all the frogs moved away from that pond to elsewhere. That night, the king was so happy. He had his hearty meal and he went to his bed and he covered himself with his bed sheet and he decided to sleep very well. But then, in a little while, those were mosquitoes. The mosquitoes paraded into the king's room and they bit everywhere on his body and he tried to slap himself, but he could not get rid of any of the mosquitoes. Poor king, he did not sleep even that night. What would he do? The next morning, he was in the bit of rage and anger. He went out and asked, "Everybody, gather around." So everybody came and said, Yeah. Now, tell me, why there was no mosquitoes the previous night and why only yesterday? The girl who spoke the other day, she slowly raised her hand and said, "Dear king, didn't I tell you that everything is connected?" What does that mean? That means mosquitoes were eaten by the frogs. Now there are no frogs to eat the mosquitoes, and so the mosquitoes have come into our palace. Oh, now I got your point, said the king. And everybody said, Yeah.